Afternoon. Okay, it's getting late in the afternoon and not really what I wanted to be doing here at this time of day. I prefer to have a bit more light, but my internet has just shit itself, and they said if it's not fixed in 2 days, give us a call. So it might be a while before I get this up, but what I might as well get started doing is having a look at getting this light bar fitted. Now this is a Cree light bar. Don't ask me what wattage, I don't recall, but it's 23 inch. And this is obviously the front of the Pajero, and this is roughly where I'm looking to mount it. I was actually looking at removing this section here, and there's a dog as always. I was looking at removing this section here and putting a piece of flat bar across the bottom, probably mounting in here somewhere, or possibly on that bolt, maybe even lower, probably this lower one. But what I might actually do is going to mount it where it is there, and I'm actually going to remove the number plate and mount the number plate down here on the front. Just having a look at the spacing of those holes, I think we'll be able to get that. Actually, we might raise it up and put it here, so it'll be sitting on the front, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue at all. Now I think this was from Sunyee on eBay. It was $100. I went with a slightly more expensive one, as far as eBay goes, based on, I guess, the distance that this supposedly covers, and this was up to 1 lumen at about 520 meters based on the spots. I think they were about a 30-degree spot. I wanted a narrower spot, albeit that I've got the driving lights up in here that are both spots, and obviously the high beams on these are pretty good. It's a pity that the normal driving low beams weren't as good, and the spread on these outside ones, we'll cut to some B-roll there, and you'll see some close-up of these lights when they're on, when I tested it. But that's them there, and supposedly I think it was around 150 to 170 degree spread. Now the reason I want this on here is for going forward driving and obviously off-road. So I really wanted something with the wider spread that I could find, so there we go. Alright, I'm going to get into it. Just going to drill a couple of holes, tap that bar, so we can get the mounting brackets. Mounting brackets, you know, all the usual stuff. I've already got the switches wired inside, so all I need to do is throw in another relay in the front where the one is for this. I'm going to use obviously the same circuit, the tapper fuse that I've got in the fuse box there to turn this on. Or to, get the switch the relay and allow it to turn on from the lights, so it's going to work with the headlights when I turn on high beam, and go off when I turn off high beam off. I find that's the best way, because when you're driving you can turn them all off at once rather than messing about with switches, but the driving lights and the light bar are going to have their own individual switches, so I can choose between them. And the reason I'm going to do that is because it's nice to be able to use the driving lights on the road. You don't want, I find that I don't want this spread, because it hits the street lights and the reflection comes straight back in. It's just too bright, and there we go. So, but when we go off-road, I can just put that on, and I can have those on there as well. Alright, I'm going to jump into it, drill a couple of holes. First issue I noticed was this. The drill is going to go in there, but luckily enough, Aldi not long ago had one of these right angle drill pieces, so in theory this is going to give me enough room, depending on the length of that drill. We'll see. Should give me a bit of room to get in here and actually drill that, so let's find out. The good news is that works. Not the straightest holes, but they're certainly going to be, I think that's only a very mild steel. I didn't want to say aluminium, but I'm not real sure. Anyway, so there we go. I've got a hole there. I basically just lined up under these. Ultimately we can slide it backwards and forwards, so it's not really going to make too much difference there. Our second hole, and hopefully we've got those roughly lined up, and we'll get those sorted out, and we'll tighten those down. It's going to be a bit of a challenge, because I don't know how I'm going to have to get a spanner up in underneath to tighten those up, so hopefully you can get in from the top. Just having a look, it looks like they've actually got to be tightened underneath, so I imagine that bolt's going to sit in there. So it's actually going to lock in from the top, so unfortunately that's going to make that challenging to tighten it up from underneath, but I don't know, where there's a will there is a way, and we will find a way. Okay, so we've definitely provided ourselves a challenge. Ultimately, because these are going to need to mount like so. Once we get that bolt through there, and they're going to sit like that. Oh, we might be able to make that happen. Anyway, so the light bar sits on the back of this, and you've got some Allen bolts, Allen head bolts, screws, whatever you want to call them, and they go into there. But the problem is, once we get those in there, they're going to be sitting about that orientation. About that orientation, which means that we're going to have to tighten them up from the back. So again, what I think I'm going to have to do is dummy fit this, sit it there, pull it off, tighten up those bolts on the back to get where we want, drop it in, and then tighten up those bolts from underneath and get the nuts and washers on. So I'm going to see if I can actually just do it like that, and whether I can reach up to the back of those from underneath. But I think that's going to be a challenge. So I think we might have to sort of dummy fit it, get it all, pull it off, see where everything fits, tighten it up, and then drop it back on as one piece. And then whilst pondering these bolts, security bolts that they've got in here, stop somebody pinching a number plate, and cursing them a little bit, I kind of realised that there's a bit of an issue here. And the guy, whoever put these security bolts in there, whilst good intentions, not real smart, because if you actually look just a little bit higher up there, you can see that Phillips head that I can get a screwdriver onto, and there's the tab number plate. So we'll knock those off, which is good. It's going to make this job a bit easier. That was short-lived because I've pulled those bolts out. It looks like they might actually be the original mounting bolts for the number plate. So that would actually sit up a little bit higher, but still not going to be high enough to see over this. So once I realised that taking those out doesn't allow those tabs to drop down, I was still stuck with these things. Well, bugger. Then I had a look at them and thought, well, you know what? Maybe a flathead screwdriver across like that will just work. So if you're going for these security bolts, and I know they're not typical security, but in the hope that not just every man and his dog's got a Phillips head in there, maybe don't go with these. Go with those ones with like an Allen key with the hole in them or something like that, because they've just come straight out with a flathead, which every man and his dog has in his car. There you go. Anyway, good news, we're back on it. And number plate relocated. So if you need to do that number plate, piece of piss, and you can see there, sits at the front now. Should keep the coppers happy. Unfortunately, it's a bit ugly up here where the number plate normally goes. I'd like to just trim that off and have some extra air going through there, but we're not going to mess about with that. Okay, so let's see if this works. I'm on the phone at the moment, so hopefully this will pick it up. I don't expect it to give it a exact representation, but there we are. We're just on a road on the way up to Mount Sugarloaf, and so that's just the standard low beam. That is our fog lights. So you can see they actually give a nice spread, and they're a little bit yellow, which is good, which is exactly what we want in the fog. That's our high beam. So back to low and to high. We'll just go with our spots only. If you're watching the centre there, that gives us a nice bright light straight in the middle. High beam, spots, back to high beam, and that's our LED light. So I think you can see the spread on that. It's absolutely brilliant. It's definitely given a real nice flood, which is exactly what we wanted. And to be honest, probably don't really need the spots. But if we chuck the spots back on, you can see that gives us a centre there. Probably need to align those a little bit to the left. Pretty happy with that. So back to just high beam. High beam with spots. And LED on there as well. So as you can see, that's an absolutely tremendous amount of light. Awesome spread. So even if we go around to the side of the car, you'll see that's thrown really, really wide. no doubt that 170 degrees is correct. That's, you know, it's nearly right out to the side, which is almost 180 degrees. So I'd say that 170 degrees is certainly believable. So really happy with that. And if we just go back to our lows, everything disappears, and everything back on again. And lastly, off with the LED, off with the spots, and back to low beam. So there we go, guys. Hopefully that helps. Really happy with the sunyee, with the way they get their stuff to you really quick. I've had an issue with an LED light before. They literally sent me a new one before the other one had been sent back, and did it really quickly without any issue. So if you're doing some shopping online and look for LED lights, light bars and the like, definitely recommend sunyee. I know a bunch of people that use them, and have never had any issues there. So no affiliation, but just, you know, good products, good service, and very happy with that. Thanks, guys. Any questions about the LED light bar, pop them down below, like and subscribe if you feel like it, and we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.